Today classes we are at lesson 17, our history class. As you can see here, we are talking about the main features and characteristics of European colonial policies in Africa, 1900 to 1945. So, what are the main features? So, we'll look at the main features, and we're also going to look at the characteristics of European colonial policies in Africa. So, the main features is that colonialism is generally characterized by racial and cultural disparities between the ruling powers and the subject populations, as well as political and legal control exerted by the imperial authority and the exploitation of the subjugated peoples. Numerous observers consider colonialism a fundamental factor contributing to uneven development. The colonial powers employed various tactics and strategies to force Africans to comply with colonial rule and administration. These methods included military conquest. So the first features of European colonial policies in Africa is military conquest. So where there were resistance, they used military force to be able to conquer those places. That's the meaning of military conquest. So they were able to come with their heavy equipment, heavy military equipment, and had to wage war on the people and defeat them and conquer their land. The second thing was enforced labor. So they enforced a lot of hard labor. That is why when you look at the railways, the plantations, and all the life that were established by these guys, it was actually through forced labor. Most of them were actually through forced labor. So the third thing was taxation. So they had to impose heavy taxes on the people, and these taxes had to mostly deal with raw materials like gold, diamond, that the people have to work it by force, and also they were taxed on it. Then economic monetization. So they had to monetize the economic of the people so that they can collect and swingle the people's wealth to their countries or respective countries, and the implementation of low wage structures. So other than that, those who they were even saying that they are paying them, the wages they were actually paying these people was very, very small, very, very low wages that they were actually paying these people that they claimed that they were paying. So those are the main features of European colonial. Now let's look at now the characteristics. So here is a list of some of the main characteristics of European imperialism in Africa. Number one is racism. There were a lot of racism. Can you imagine? Even racism actually, when we look at the one in South Africa, it ended in the 90s. When we look at the one in the US, it ended in the 60s. So a lot of racism. Why South Africa they practice the one that white and blacks should not be together. That is that the name was actually apartheid. So South Africans they actually practice what they call in their law apartheid, but America their own was called segregation. So each of these people have their own laws and way to differentiate and segregate the white community from the black community. So there were a lot of racism during this period. The second thing was moral superiority. So the whites actually claimed that they're superior to the blacks. Even today we see all of that all the time. So but actually they are all equal, whether black or white, we are all equal. So they actually taught about superiority in morality and what they taught us in our schools, and showing how superior they were or how superior they are. The third point or third characteristics was missionary activity. So we had missionaries like Alfred Seca that came and they established a lot of Baptist missionaries, Catholic. So they all came with these churches and all the like. The fourth point is exploitation of natural resources. So Africans' resources were highly exploitable. So the Europeans had to gather a lot from the resources, and that resources actually include gold, diamond, silver, so many other things, copper, iron, so many other things that they could extract from the soil and to swap them to Europe. So there were a lot of exploitation of natural resources. Can also be timber or timber and many other things. The next characteristic is military conquest. We already saw that in the futures. Military conquest, actually they use war, heavy machinery to be able to conquer and defeat the people. And so those who were resistant, those who had to fight, those who resisted were being conquered military or by force. So the next one is rivalry between colonial powers. So there were a lot of rivalries between the colonial powers. This one has taken this land, and that is why you discovered that after the First World War, all the territories that were assigned to Germans were being taken. This comes as a result of this fight of territories. Who should control this? Who should control that? Because I don't see why you would defeat somebody, then decide to take his territories. So it has to be jealousy. It has to be envy that started during the colonial period. The last point in my list is complete formal political control over colonized areas. So they have a complete formal political control everywhere, whether the DOs, the SDO were all made of whites, so that they can best control the people, impose their languages, make the people become like them. So that is actually the strategy that was used by colonial powers to be able to impose imperialism or their colonial rule in Africa. So that is it about our studies today. So if you are new to my channel, just make sure that you subscribe. So share with other students so that they might benefit from it.